We are in a completely different world than we once were. The empire is declining. It's not fun to be in a declining empire. Much more fun when the empire is going up, which was the last century or a century and a half of this country, the ride up. We are now on the ride down.
The American empire is crashing faster than anyone dared to admit. While politicians feed you feel-good fantasies, the numbers don't lie. And what's coming will shock you to your core.
We haven't been prepared because we have leaders who cannot say a word about that.
Indonesia just made a move that signals the beginning of the end, and most Americans have no clue it even happened.
Those celebrating Mr. Trump are probably also celebrating the assassination of Mr. King. And that split is everywhere now. And if you haven't noticed it yet, you will, because it's going to impact your life in all kinds of ways.
Trump won because he understood something absolutely chilling that establishment politicians refuse to admit. Ordinary Americans are getting systematically destroyed by forces they can't even see coming. While the wealthy build bunkers and buy foreign citizenship, working families are about to discover just how expendable they really are.
After we lost the war in Vietnam, we went and had a big war in Afghanistan, which we also lost.
Nobody saw this coming, but America has lost every single major war since Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq, all catastrophic defeats that our media somehow transforms into victory parades. Each failure doesn't just chip away at global dominance, it accelerates our free fall toward complete irrelevance. Here's where it gets absolutely terrifying. Corporations have become what economists call debt zombies. Companies so buried in debt, they're essentially the walking dead, borrowing money just to pay interest on money they already owe. This isn't affecting a few struggling businesses. This has become the standard operating procedure across corporate America.
Everything is changing because of this, except here.
But wait, it gets worse than you can possibly imagine. The government operates exactly the same way, and here's the part that should make your blood run cold. America's two biggest creditors are Japan and China. Every single tax dollar you pay includes interest payments shipped directly to Beijing, literally funding the military buildup of our greatest rival while our own roads collapse and bridges fall into rivers. The insanity reaches levels that would make Kafka weep. America funds Ukraine's war against Russia, while China, Russia's closest ally, lends us the money to buy the weapons. China supports Russia, lends to America, and profits from both sides of a conflict that's bleeding us dry.
Last week, something happened on the part of a country called Indonesia. It's an enormous thing what they did. They joined the BRICS.
Here's what nobody saw coming that changes everything. Indonesia, a nation of 280 million people, just joined BRICS, and most Americans don't even know it happened because our media operates in full blackout mode. This isn't just another trade deal. This is the moment historians will mark as the end of Western economic dominance. BRICS nations now control 36% of global economic output, while America's G7 alliance has withered to just 28%. Think about what that means. The economic center of gravity has officially moved east, while Washington still acts like it's 1995. The shift happened so fast that our leaders are still making decisions based on power we lost years ago.
Do you understand? The BRICS is now what the United States was, but is no more. Now, if you're looking to where the wealth is, you go east.
This statement will reveal the most shocking part. When developing countries need infrastructure loans today, they don't even bother calling Washington anymore. They go straight to Beijing because that's where the real money lives now. Want proof? Most major infrastructure projects across Africa, Asia, and South America are Chinese-built, Chinese-funded operations that completely bypass American involvement. The denial runs so deep, we've created alternate realities to avoid facing what's happening. Take electric vehicles, the technology that will define the next century of transportation. 15 years ago, every car company on Earth raced to develop them, and one company won decisively. BYD Corporation from China.
Why don't you see them? Because we have a tariff started by Mr. Trump, raised by Mr. Biden. The tariff on the Chinese electric vehicles is 100%.
Here's what's truly disturbing. Most Americans have never heard of BYD because they're completely banned from our roads through 100% tariffs. While Europeans cruise around in superior Chinese electric cars costing $30,000, Americans get stuck paying $50,000 for inferior Ford and GM vehicles. This isn't protection, it's economic suicide disguised as patriotism. American manufacturers buying delivery trucks now pay double what their foreign competitors pay for the same equipment. When your production costs are artificially doubled by government policy, guess who wins the global competition? Every foreign company operates with access to the best technology at the lowest prices, while American businesses slowly strangle.
The US dollar, which in 1950s, 60s, 70s was the global currency dominating all others, isn't anymore.
Well, the most shocking part is that inflation is destroying your grocery budget. It wasn't some mysterious economic force. It was deliberate corporate price gouging disguised as natural phenomena. When companies systematically raise prices faster than wages, that's executives making calculated decisions and squeeze every penny from working families. Half the country actually believes the bird flu excuse for $6 eggs, while grocery store chains report record-breaking profits. The mathematical impossibility of that explanation should be obvious, but we've been conditioned to accept corporate fairy tales rather than face the uncomfortable truth about organized theft. The information I'm sharing comes from decades of economic research that mainstream media systematically hides from you. If you want to stay ahead of these catastrophic changes, instead of being completely blindsided when your world collapses, smash that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. What's coming in the next few months will prove every terrifying prediction I'm making today.
Really? That's what you want? You want to live in an economy that distributes whatever is scarce to people with the most money?
The Federal Reserve's brilliant solution, raising interest rates, exclusively punishes working people while the wealthy laugh all the way to their offshore accounts. Rich people don't care if interest rates are 2% or 6% because they don't live paycheck to paycheck. But your credit card payments just exploded, your mortgage became unaffordable, and your car loan costs more every month. Want to know how easily this could be fixed? Conservative Republican President Richard Nixon ended inflation overnight in 1971 with one simple announcement: any business that raises prices goes to jail. Inflation literally vanished the next morning. That solution still exists today, but nobody mentions it because it would demolish corporate profit margins.
These kinds of loans from Japan, from China, enable the United States government to spend all the money Dr. Leon told us about in Ukraine without having to tax us.
Nuclear weapons changed everything by becoming too dangerous to actually use, making them essentially useless as intimidation tools. Russia proved this by completely ignoring American threats over Ukraine, and there wasn't a damn thing we could do about it. Conventional warfare isn't viable either because Russia has home field advantage and a population that survived both Napoleon and Hitler. America tried economic warfare instead with the genius strategy of reducing the ruble to rubble. That masterpiece of strategic thinking lasted exactly as long as it took China and India to say, "We'll buy Russia's oil and gas instead." The Russian economy actually grew faster than America's during their supposed punishment period. Another spectacular failure that made us look weaker than before we started. Ukraine presents to us the most horrific truth of our declining empire. Russian forces steadily advance westward every single day, while American media still pretends victory is somehow possible. Russia can fight this war indefinitely on their own border using their own resources, while America fights from thousands of miles away using borrowed Chinese money to fund weapons we can't afford.
The rich and the powerful respond to the decline by saying, oh, this is terrible, but not for me.
But here's what nobody saw coming that could save everything. Decline creates unprecedented opportunities for those smart enough to recognize them. When established power structures crack, massive space opens for new movements and revolutionary ideas. The labor organizing happening at Amazon, Starbucks, and Boeing isn't just workplace disputes, it's the beginning of a complete transformation that terrifies corporate boardrooms across America. Young workers don't carry the Cold War psychological programming that made previous generations afraid of economic alternatives. Boeing workers rejected 3 separate contracts before accepting terms that actually benefited them instead of executives. Chris Smalls organized Amazon warehouses despite billions spent on union-busting operations. These aren't isolated incidents, they're early signs of an awakening that could reshape everything.
And so the working class has to be, one way or another, squeezed as you go down. And we, you, me, we're all being squeezed.
The old fear-mongering about socialism completely stopped working because capitalism now means debt slavery, gig work without benefits, and choosing between medical care and housing. When free markets translate to endless bank bailouts while families declare bankruptcy, maybe it's time to try something radically different. International momentum builds faster than anyone anticipated. Brazil's Lula, India's Modi, Mexico's Sheinbaum represent billions of people moving toward economic models that prioritize human survival over corporate profits. They're not waiting for American permission anymore because they don't need it.
We are not strong. We are weak. We don't produce the bulk of the world's output. We don't control the bulk of the world's trade.
This moment demands brutal honesty about where we're heading, whether we like it or not. The old world is ending regardless of our comfort level with that reality. Individual preparation means nothing when the entire system collapses around you. Corporate media won't report these seismic shifts until it's far too late to matter. By then, the new world order will be completely established, and Americans will spend decades wondering how they missed the most important economic transformation in human history. Knowledge is your only weapon against what's coming, and your country's survival depends on how many people wake up before the final collapse. Subscribe to our channel now, and don't forget to watch our next video of how the end of Americans is near.